Hey guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. It's Evelina. I'm going to be talking about, like the title of the video says, my first trimester symptoms, just like everything, just like an overview. Everything that kind of happened to me in my first trimester, just my whole experience. I wrote down, I tried to, I'm not that much of like a notes organizing kind of person, but I tried to write down as much as I could about my first trimester. So I have some notes. So the first symptom I even experienced, like I didn't feel pregnant. I found out I was pregnant early August and I didn't feel pregnant for like the first month. I felt totally normal. I felt like, you know, people sometimes have an inkling before. I didn't feel pregnant. I didn't feel any different. Maybe I did, I just don't remember. I need to like look back on the video of me finding out I'm pregnant because I don't remember if I felt anything weird, but like looking at it now, maybe I just didn't write it down. I don't know. But I remember like the first thing that happened to me during my pregnancy that was just, I think like the worst thing that can happen to you is I started bleeding. And this was week 5, and I remember this was a Wednesday night. I had just had like my prayer and worship night group with all my girlfriends, and we went out for ice cream after, and I was just sitting there and I was feeling pretty weird. No one had known that I was pregnant, I think, at that point, or maybe 1 or 2 friends, I don't know. And I just was feeling really weird, and I wasn't having any cramping or anything like that, at least to a point where I was like, it was painful. It was like I was fine. And I remember driving home and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop in the bathroom, because I stopped at a gas station because I felt like a lot, and I didn't think that it was blood at that point. That it hasn't even crossed my mind, but I was like, I need to like wipe myself or something. So I went to the bathroom and it was blood, and I immediately, like, you know where your mind goes, I immediately started freaking out. And again, like, it was a lot, and I didn't even realize that I had like blood through my pants. Luckily I was wearing like black jeans, so I don't think anyone noticed. But yeah, I started freaking out, and it was, again, Wednesday night, so the doctors were already closed, and I was only 5 weeks along, somewhere around there. So I called my husband. My husband travels for work, so he wasn't home, and I'm like freaking out over the phone to him, and he's trying to calm me down. And I called the doctor the next day, and the doctor's pretty much, at least this was my experience, calling the office. They pretty much told me they couldn't do anything because I'm 5 weeks along. They can't see anything at this point. So I would just have to wait until an 8-week checkup to see if I was pregnant or not still at that point. So they pretty much told me they couldn't do anything, which, talking to some other people after the fact, I feel like they could have, but I don't know. I was really early along, so they were like, pretty much like, it would be kind of pointless for you to come on in, so let's just wait till you're 8 weeks and let's just see. That was Wednesday night, and that same Sunday, the same thing happened, and that was just, I don't know. Pregnant women that have been through that, like, obviously I'm in like a way different headspace now, but it was really hard, and I had like come to terms with the fact that I thought I was miscarrying, and it was just like a really crazy time. And both of my bleeding, though, since I'm like talking about symptoms and stuff, if any of you guys experienced this, it didn't last for a long period of time. It was from like 20-30 minutes, the period of time that I bled, but it was enough to like bleed through my underwear and bleed through the clothes I was wearing. So I felt like that was a lot of blood, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't. But Yeah, I wrote down bled through underwear, light cramping both times, but nothing like that was concerning to me at least. And that was still like end of week 5, week 6. So again, the remainder of those like 3 weeks until week 8, I was just at like an I don't know. Like I literally was like, I don't know if I'm pregnant or not. And that was a really hard time. I wanted to tell my friends and family, but I was like, I might not even be pregnant. So I remember going through that time and kind of not coming to terms, but just like knowing that ultimately whatever happens and it's in God's hand and there's a reason that everything happens. And I like didn't accept the fact, but I was like, Lord, I would be okay with it. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe, but like the first couple of days, it was really hard. I thought that I did miscarry, but I kind of just gave it unto the Lord and I was like, whatever happens, happens. And I trust the Lord and His timing and everything. And at week 8, when I came to my ultrasound, I was so nervous and the baby was growing perfectly. It was measuring great and everything was fine. There was a strong heartbeat. The yolk sac was good, and that's at week 8. But I did start feeling nauseous week 6. I know I skipped week 8, but that nausea was kind of like pretty light and on and off. And I still thought that like it could have been still miscarriage. You just don't feel great after. So I didn't know. But anyways, week 7 came along and this was a really fun time for me. I started gagging a lot, just randomly, could barely brush my teeth. If I like bent down too hard, like I would just be like dry heaving and not a good time. I think at that point I should have like realized that I was still pregnant because that's like very pregnancy symptoms, I feel like. But again, I was in the unknown. When I had my ultrasound, my first ultrasound, and that's also the week that I started throwing up. If you don't like talking about being sick, nauseous, throwing up, this is not for you. And I know not all women get this, but guys, from week 8 on to the rest of my first trimester and and well into my second trimester, I was feeling terrible. I was nauseous every day. I was throwing up, not every day, probably like 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes it was a couple times a day, sometimes it was like randomly throughout the week. There wasn't really anything that I think was triggering it that at least I know of. It was really random. Like sometimes I would wake up and throw up right away. Sometimes it was after I ate, 30 minutes later, I would throw up. Sometimes, I don't know, I would just eat literally like an orange and I would throw up. Like so random, but I was throwing up a lot. I was feeling terrible. It even got to the point where I like didn't take my prenatals because every time I would take them, I would throw up. As soon as I like took them, they were not going. I would immediately run to the toilet, throw up. And I tried gummies, they still made me throw up. I tried putting it inside my smoothies. I still was throwing up from taking my prenatals, so I just stopped taking them. I just recently has started taking them again because now I'm not throwing up as much. Some other symptoms that I've had were migraines. I don't know, I wouldn't say this started in any time exact, but I've never been a person that had like random migraines all day, but there has been like sporadically throughout my first trimester that I would have migraines. I don't know maybe the right word for it, but like the most annoying feeling I would get all the time, and this started happening probably week 9, 10. after eating, or honestly, it was like the whole day. I just felt like there was always like food right here. Like it was just like right here, just sitting like right here. Most annoying feeling, and it's just, I still have that. And then at the, like towards the end of my first trimester, I started getting the feeling of being really full and really hungry all at the same time. Like I wanted to eat, but I had just eaten and I was full, but like I had the sensation of being like starving. So that's really weird. But other than that, it's been great. I know women have like so much harder pregnancies, so I'm like, Lord, thank you that I don't throw up every single day. I had good days. Most of them were nausea full. That first trimester was hard, and guys, coming into the second trimester, which I am gonna do also like a second trimester video, I was so discouraged because I was still feeling so sick and throwing up, but it is going away. So it does get better, hopefully for everyone. I don't know. It doesn't get better for everyone, but it did for me, and I hope that for you if you're watching. I have to turn the camera back on because silly me forgot some of my symptoms. Okay, so just to rapid fire, quick ones. I was really tired all the time. No, like very fatigued, and this was probably from week 7, 8 on. Like no strength to cook, clean. I didn't really have any food aversions, but I did have like where if I didn't want something, like I really didn't want it at that time. Like if something didn't sound good to me in the moment, I just could not eat it. But it's not like that food, like I had an aversion to it like all the time. It was just like in that time, if it didn't sound good to me, like I couldn't eat it. I didn't have much of an appetite for my first trimester. I think it was because I was so sick and nauseous. I had to eat, and I had to force myself to eat because if I didn't eat, I would feel more nauseous. If I ate too much, I would feel more nauseous. So it was like a hard time finding the balance. Honestly, I didn't find the balance. I felt nauseous most of the time. But again, I am feeling better now. So let's close out of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions about the first trimester, this is my first pregnancy ever. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a baby to this as well, but I'm learning so much. If you guys have any advice for me for the rest of my pregnancy, please drop it down below. If you have any questions, if you have any video requests, let me know. And I would love to answer all your questions. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.